Hello and welcome to Walk With Me, the podcast. I am your host, Bédard, and today I'll invite you to embark on the journey that is as simple as it is profound, the act of walking together. Now, the name Walk With Me is intentional, me is my initials, Marie, but it also stands for me as in each one of us. So this podcast is a place where I want us to explore life, death, everything in between and beyond. Over the years, I've witnessed that growth and evolution can be daunting for a lot of people, but when we get out of our heads and walk the path together, something truly magical happens. We collapse time, we tap into our inner wisdom, and unlock amazing potentialities. So this journey is not just about walking. It's more than just putting one foot in front of the other. It's about exploration. It's about the deep connections we form with ourselves, with others, and with the world around us as we move through life. So together, we'll dive into the discoveries of science, the teachings of the heart, and the revelations of the soul. From the frequency of the Black Forest and Journey where I live, I'll be added some sacred feminine wisdom and collective consciousness. We'll explore how everything shapes our lives and our path. So lace up your shoes and let's walk together on this path of growth and evolution. Hello and welcome back to Walk With Me, the podcast. I'm your host, Bédard, and I am actually really excited today to be coming here and to be sharing with you this episode that marks the 1-year anniversary of my podcast. Woohoo! I am really proud of what I've been working on, what I've been putting out there for the past year. And I actually can't believe that it's been a year already. It's actually been a little bit over a year because I launched a podcast on November 1st of 2023. But the first episode was recorded back in July 2023. So the first episode of my podcast is called She Gave Me Life Twice. It's a little bit of background of, what happened when my mother passed away and what actually really shifted in my mindset, in my approach, perspectives, and beliefs around what it is to be human and what am I here for, what's my purpose, what's the why, and how to actually go further than the fears that we have, like everything that holds us back, personally, but also how I have evolved with my clients, with people around me throughout the years, throughout many changes, really big ones too. So there you go. I also have, because today is day 305 of the year 2024. Now, why do I know that? It's because it's been 305 days that we actually quit drinking. So I wanted to pop bubbles with you live. But obviously it is alcohol free. It is a nice little bottle that I have here. Now, hopefully I am not going to make a fool of myself on the air, although that would be funny. And I also have a little something to clean the mess. Because in life, sometimes things are messy. Often things are messy. And we need to just go with the flow and embrace everything that it brings us in so many ways. And this is what this podcast is about. That's why when I launched a podcast, it was called the Reinvention Podcast. But as I was moving through the seasons, as I was getting my footing, as I was finding my voice on this new medium of the audio, and as I was highlighting the parts that I really love and the parts that, I was oh, okay, yeah, I can do that. But why should I do something that I don't have fun with when I can actually do fun things? And I think that it's a good approach as well, in life where of course, there's some things that we kind of have to do, but sometimes there's actually more stuff fun that we're not allowing ourselves or giving ourselves permission to do. And sometimes it's really because we think that we have to do some things that we don't really have to do because of beliefs, because of all kinds of stuff that are holding us back again. So I am popping here. All right, no, very little towel needed. I did not make a big mess. But I actually drank right away from the bottle. So here is my glass, and I am taking this moment to celebrate me, celebrate us, celebrate this wonderful journey that we've been on together. That is really just the beginning of everything else. When I left Canada 3 years ago, it's been 3 years a few days ago, October is a big month for me. So a little bit over 3 years ago, we made the bold move to actually leave Canada and move to Germany and basically rebuild our entire lives, like entire lives. And not only personally, but also professionally, like I have made so many pivots in my business, and I'm still like going from the ground, like I'm building from the foundation of everything, and it's going slow, but I'm keeping at it. And my husband, just if you've listened to the episode, the leap year career transition that I did with him, we actually talk about his big pivot at 53 years old, like from the brewing industry to the IT industry. So it's been like quite the journey. And having these episodes and having all this content that we create as it evolves with us, it really is a privilege, because so often in life, we don't have like those metrics. We don't have those kind of like landmark to go back and say, hey, like, I can't believe like this was like, I can't believe I was there like not so long ago. I didn't think I would actually like grow this much or evolve this much or like do this much without even overthinking it. So it's really, really cool. And so that's what I wanted to say. Now, I wanted to come here because there's a lot of stats that are interesting, and I like stats because like it's nice metrics, and also like it highlights how incredible what we do is, even more so than we think. And the other thing that I find is that it's important that we take the time to celebrate ourselves and to celebrate our wins and to celebrate like how much we've evolved, because if we don't, nobody's going to do it. Not because they actually like don't want to do it. Like obviously like when I have a call with my friends, or when I see one of my friends or like my families, whatever, like, and I say like, I'm celebrating this, they're super happy for me. Like that's not the point. But there's very little instances where one, people know how much it actually takes to do the thing, like in abstract. And also people know that they cannot know how much it had taken you to actually do the move. So sometimes we often compare ourselves to others, like where we are, like, but we all are on a different path, on a different journey. And it's really important that we actually remind ourselves of that. And we really look at where we are going and all the little like micro steps that we're taking towards that direction and celebrating that. So that's why I wanted to come here and celebrate with you. So I'm going to take a little moment here to just take a sip. So here's to 1 year to my podcast. I will take that with my husband later, and we're going to celebrate this together. But before then, I wanted to tell you about the podcast. So I was re-envisioned the podcast before, and I did 3 seasons of that. And last summer, if you actually listen to the episode for the rebranding, you know that last summer I actually had something that was coming up, and I just followed the lead. I just followed where I was going in this creation process. And because it is a creation process, so it's been rebranded to Walk With Me. And it really is like highlighting the fact that we're all on our journey, and it's really fun to share and create and co-create together on the journey that we are, each one of us, but alongside of us, right? So the first episode is She Gave Me Life Twice. You can actually listen to it if you scroll down to the beginning of the podcast list. And you're going to find that one is actually like, it's probably the most, I'm going to say, emotional one, because first, I was super nervous to record this. And second, I'm talking about deep stuff, and I'm talking about stuff that I didn't really talk about before. And it was quite the journey to actually like express that on a platform that was a public platform. So obviously, like when we're in closed places, closed doors, closed spaces, it's a different story. But when we're coming in and doing like podcasts or anything that is public, then it's a whole different story. And that episode, I think that I actually had to maybe stop 2-3 times just to catch my breath. Now, like I've edited it out, obviously, but just to catch my breath because it was like intense, So that is one of the most emotional episodes that you will find. The number 1 episode that has been listened to so far It's one of the oldest, obviously, so it has more listen, but it's actually a really interesting one because it's one that I have recorded with one of my first mentors that I hired when I arrived in Germany, and it's actually called The Relationship Within with Claude Khalil. It's really worth a listen, and you're actually going to hear me like a year ago, how I've evolved like from there as well, right? And we're actually even talking in the podcast of the growth and evolution from before. So it's really interesting to listen to and to see how it's actually possible for all of us to really change and walk the path that we're meant to be walking, right? So the second most listened episode is Waves Don't Sink with Mia Khalil, which is actually Claude's sister. And I invited her because like she wrote a beautiful poem book, like a book of poem, and she also works with chronic diseases, and she has a really cool approach to getting rid of chronic pain basically through her work. And she also wrote another book lately on leadership at work, which is going to be like really cool to read and to explore. And she actually, agreed to come back and talk about it on the podcast. So stay tuned for that. So those are the 3 episodes that are like that has the most listen altogether. The ones that have really risen super quickly on the charts, given that they have been launched fairly recently, are the one with Jacqueline Shaw, Trusting Timing More Than Time Itself, which Jacqueline Shaw is actually like a really whole other level of conversation. And when we're talking about change and embracing change and walking the path and having faith and trusting the process and trusting yourself through all of that, that is a really interesting episode to listen to, because like it really brings on the forefront not only like the belief and the fears are holding us back, but also like the stories that we, tell ourselves, the false stories that we tell and the lies that we tell ourselves to stay in our comfort zone and not embrace where we're meant to be going. So that is actually really one that is interesting, that has risen really quickly on the charts. So that's one that you might want to take a look at. And there's also the one that I did with Annick Desrosiers, which is Embracing Vulnerability and Redefining Self-Care Amid Societal Challenges. So that is also one that is worth the listen for sure. A little bit of a statistics just to let you know. Now, there is currently 5 million podcasts that exist worldwide. That's actually a lot of podcasts. The interesting part that I wanted to highlight here is that only 44% of podcasts make it past 10 episodes. That's not a lot of podcasts that make it past 10 episodes. Now, this episode that you're listening to is episode 33 of the Walk With Me podcast, which is pretty cool. I definitely passed the 10 episode. Now, of those 5 million podcasts, the second interesting thing is that only 20% of the podcasts out there are considered active. What does it mean? It means that they have published 1 episode in the last 90 days. So that's not a lot of active podcasts out there either. So there you go. What else did I wanted to tell you? There's actually obviously more and more people that are listening to the podcast. There is, the podcast range of the most active podcast listener range are between 12 and 34 years old. It's around half of the people in the US specifically that report listening to a podcast at least monthly, 50%. And just to give you a little idea of my podcast now, most of my listeners are from Canada, obviously. So I have close to 40% of my listeners that are in Canada. And I have close to 30% that are in the United States and close to 30% that are in Germany. But there's actually rising more than 5% that is from Denmark, which is really cool. So hello, Denmark. And then I have a whole bunch of different countries. So I'm going to list them because that's also really cool. Turks and Caicos Island, France, Mexico, Portugal, Japan, Turkey, New Zealand, South Africa, Ireland, Australia, Netherlands, Bulgaria, Russia, Sweden, and Taiwan. 3/4 of my listeners are female, about 1/4 that is male, and the range of age is actually between 45 and 59, which is 80% over 80% of my listeners. So I wanted to, share that with you, and thank you so much for listening to my podcast, for being with me. If you're not yet in the podcast companion Walk With Me on Telegram, I really suggest that you join us there. There's going to be more and more stuff that is happening. I also started recently to play around with an audio version of my newsletter, which is pretty cool as well. So if you like this whole audio, if you like to have the vibe that is just you and me in your ears. Another thing that was actually cool when I was pulling the statistic was that around 59% of people were listening while doing other tasks, and 32 during commute or travel. That's actually pretty cool. So basically, when you're doing like household, you don't want to watch something, you just really want to listen to something. And probably same thing when you're commuting or traveling, because if you're looking outside at a nice view, for example, if you're on the train throughout Europe, that's also really cool to be able to do that. And plus you can download or pre-download the episodes on your app and go from there, and listen to on the go. So that's really cool. That's why I thought it was so interesting to do an audio version of a lot of my things. I think that I feel more and more comfortable with that. And also, I think it's on the rise because we're overstimulated with a whole bunch of different stuff, in all our senses. And to be able to move to audio only, for example, really allows us to free our eyes, our vision, and have the audio in our ears. So there you go. That's what I had to say about this. Thank you so much again for listening to the podcast. Thank you so much for this past year. I'm raising my glass again. And to another year of this incredible journey. I have so many cool guests, amazing conversation that are already recorded that will be launched soon. I also have guest lineups that will be starting to come in the new year in 2025. So that's really exciting. So thank you so much. And the other thing I wanted to say was that the 7 days of Serenity, which is the next free experience that I have, will be running from November 15th to 21st. So you don't want to miss that, because it's actually really going to be a 7-day. You need about 15 minutes a day with me to really shift from stressful, overwhelmed state, overly stimulated, to connecting to and cultivating your inner calm, your inner peace, your serenity inside. So the links are in the show notes. I love you. I see you and I feel you. Take care and cheers. Thank you for being part of today's episode and walking with me. As the seasons of life shift, we hold the power to navigate our path with courage, intuition, and wisdom, and embrace change with an open heart, for within it lies the potential for remarkable growth and evolution. If this conversation resonated with you, please subscribe on your favorite platform, leave a heartfelt review, and share it on social media. If you know someone who would benefit from this episode, I'd be honored if you shared it with them. You can stay connected with me on social media, where I continue to share insights and inspiration. And for a deeper connection, you can join my Telegram community for exclusive content and real-time conversation. You'll find the link in the show notes. Until our next encounter, keep exploring, embracing change, and finding joy in every moment. And remember, you can always come back here and walk with me.